you retire at 65 with $500,000, there is a real mathematical possibility your money does not make it to 90. Not because you overspend, not because you're reckless, but because 1% quietly compounds against you. Now here's the question most people never ask. Is $1 million actually safe, or does it just fail more slowly? Today we're stress testing Austin and Tampa under 3 withdrawal rates and 3 housing realities. And one of these combinations looks safe, but it isn't. Your 60, 5% long-term portfolio return, no Social Security included. We are isolating your investments because retirement rarely collapses all at once. It erodes quietly. And erosion begins with 2 variables: withdrawal rate, fixed housing cost. So first, we isolate the withdrawal rate. At 4%, 500,000 produces 20,000 per year. 1 million produces 40,000. On paper, that sounds reasonable, but paper doesn't experience volatility. The 4% rule was built on historical averages, not worst-case timing. Now look at this red curve. It rises early, then gradually bends downward. That bend is erosion. And if markets decline in your first 3 years, that bend steepens. And once it steepens, it rarely fully recovers. 4% doesn't usually fail immediately. It fails slowly, and slowly is harder to notice. At 3.5%, 500,000 produces 17,500, 1 million produces 35,000. You just reduced income, but you increased durability. Now look at the orange curve. The downward slope softens, longevity improves, but here's the trade-off. You bought safety by shrinking flexibility. 3.5% doesn't feel dramatically safer, but mathematically, it often is. At 3%, 500,000 produces 15,000. 1 million produces 30,000. This is often called the durability zone. Now look at the green curve. The bend comes much later. Probability of lasting past 95 rises significantly, but durability has a cost. Income compression. The safer you get from market risk, the tighter you get on lifestyle risk. So purely from a withdrawal standpoint, 4% equals highest timing risk. 3.5% equals balance zone. 3% equals durability zone. But income alone does not determine survival. Housing does. Now let's stress the system. In Austin, we'll use 4% first because it's the rule most people quote. Then we'll scale from there. A modest rental averages roughly $1,600 per month. Add core expenses, food, utilities, transportation, healthcare. Annual cost approaches $32,000. At $500,000 invested, income is $20,000. That creates a $12,000 annual deficit, and deficits compound. Even in a paid-off home, Texas property taxes near 2% plus insurance and maintenance keep annual costs near $30,000. Still above portfolio income. Add a mortgage, and total expenses approach $40,000 per year. At that point, even $1 million at 4% operates with minimal structural cushion. 4% in Austin works if volatility cooperates. If it does not, margin disappears quickly. Now let's compare Tampa. In Tampa, rental costs trend closer to $1,500 per month. Baseline annual living costs approach $30,000. At $1 million and 4%, income is $40,000. Structural margin, roughly $10,000. That margin appears sufficient, but market declines, insurance increases, or healthcare events can compress it rapidly. Property taxes in Florida are lower than Texas, which improves baseline stability. However, fixed costs remain significant. Add mortgage leverage and cushion narrows at 3.5% and 3%, income declines. Longevity improves. Housing rigidity remains constant. Lower withdrawals buy time. They do not eliminate fixed expense pressure, and that leads to the final variable. Before we move to sequence risk, there's one structural difference that can quietly change everything. Household design, if this same retiree is single, expenses don't fall by half, but they fall meaningfully. Housing becomes smaller. Healthcare costs drop, food and transportation compress, and that $30,000 baseline become $24,000 or $25,000. Suddenly, margin appears. And now flip the scenario. Add one dependent child. Education support, health insurance, higher food and utility costs, $10,000 to $15,000 annually can re-enter the system immediately. The math doesn't collapse, but the cushion shrinks. Same portfolio, same city, different household structure, radically different pressure profile. Retirement math is not just about money, it's about who the money supports. And once household structure sets the pressure level, there's one variable that can override all of it. Not spending, not housing, timing, because even a well-structured plan can struggle if the sequence turns against you early. All these projections assume average returns, but retirees don't live through averages, they live through sequences. If markets decline early in retirement, where withdrawals amplify damage, two retirees with identical portfolios can have radically different outcomes based purely on timing. The portfolio isn't the only risk, timing is, and timing doesn't ask permission. That's why margin matters. That's why housing flexibility matters. And that's why the cheapest city doesn't automatically win. At $500,000, renting is tight. Paid off homes are tight. Mortgage scenarios are not sustainable without supplemental income. At $1 million, rent and paid off scenarios work at 4%, but with limited margin. At 3.5%, durability improves. At 3%, longevity strengthens significantly. Tampa holds slightly stronger structural margin than Austin, but the real variable is not the city. It's withdrawal rate relative to fixed housing cost. Retirement doesn't usually fail dramatically, it erodes quietly, and the difference between erosion and endurance is margin. Margin is oxygen. This is an educational example, not financial advice. If you'd like to see how Austin compares to another city, let me know below. If you want clear, practical retirement math across the US and internationally, subscribe to Mostly Retirement.